Psi research is at a crossroads. While mainstream science rejects it for lack of evidence, the military seem to be locking it up because the evidence looks too good. But last year, here in San Francisco, ESP entered the world of big business with the formation of a new company. It was called Delphi. Delphi's purpose, to find commercial applications for the SRI work which would make enough money to fund further research. A board meeting. There's Russell Targ. Next to him, psychologist and psychic Keith Harari. He's been active in the field for over a decade.
And you just get the final, and then we'll just come back that next week and put it together.
The commercial expert is business consultant Tony White. Delphi
exploration, the ability to take remote viewing out of the laboratory and apply it in a real-world situation.
Recently, satellites have been used to locate oil. Delphi believes remote viewing could do better by looking under the surface. Project number 2.
We are currently negotiating and closing a contract with Atari, division of Warner Communications, for an extensive consulting series starting sometime this year, which will involve psychically enhanced video games to help people develop their psychic abilities and enjoy themselves while they're doing it.
But there are others in the field. Charles Honiton's laboratory in Princeton has already developed a range of psychic video games. This is called Psi-Ball. It's a test of psychokinesis. Keep the ball in the center of the screen with your mind. But Delphi's project number 3 is the biggest of all. It involves the last great psychic faculty, precognition. Of all the faculties, foreseeing the future is the greatest challenge to our concepts of space and time. Crystal ball gazing was at its height 3,000 years ago with the Greek oracle at Delphi. Now the 20th century company is trying to follow suit.
This is the remote viewing experiment.
It was in 1975 at SRI that Targ and Puthoff had done experiments to see if remote viewing could be made to look into the future. Hella Hamid was the first guinea pig, and this is a brief reconstruction of an early experiment. Where, she was asked, would Puthoff be in half an hour's time?
It's very dark, and at the end you come out through an archway, into a very bright area where there's lots of vegetation. It's like a rose garden. It's very formal. It's a very manicured kind of garden.
Throughout her description, Puthoff had been away from the lab, driving around aimlessly. At a prearranged time after her description had finished, a random number generator decided where he was to go. There were 9 envelopes, each containing a different location. Any one of them could have been chosen. The random number generator said 6, and 6 said go to Stanford Hospital Plaza. Half an hour before, Hella Hamid had described seeing a formal manicured garden, and apparently here it was. The next day, another
like a head of an arrow. He walks into it. It's like a triangle that he walks into.
Half an hour later, the randomly selected envelope said, go to the swing in Alma Park. This time, she not only saw into the future, but heard it too.
It's a rhythmic kind of squeak, like a rusty pump or not well-oiled piston, just a very rhythmic squeaking.
2 other laboratories have since done their own successful experiments.
We have very good experience that people can accurately describe events that are hours or days in the future. What one must say is that the viewer in the laboratory is describing some future event that they will experience. That would be the customary way to describe this. We think a more accurate description would be that some future event which will take place causes the viewer at an earlier time to have an experience. To put in its worst form, the future event is creating his present. That's, of course, not to say that the future can change the past, but it's definitely clear that the future to not happen. But it's clear from our many experiments that a person sitting in the laboratory can have his experience controlled and determined by an event which is yet to take place.
At 9, 7, 9. At 9, 7 minute 9. Yeah, at 9.
This is the Commodities Exchange in New York. It's where the world's precious metals are traded. And it was here that Russell Targ's new company, Delphi, decided to put precognition to the
for a number of private investors, in which we generate predictions for the commodity futures market. We've been working primarily with silver, predicting silver prices 2 to 4 days in advance. This research series has been quite successful and provides us with a nice stream of income.
Silver is cheap and its price is relatively unstable, so it's ideal for making a fast buck. Delphi developed a system to predict on a Thursday whether on Monday the price of silver would be up or down more or less than 25 cents. Delphi said in 3 months to December they'd made 9 predictions, all of which were correct. We asked an experienced commodity trader to comment.
The most unusual aspect of these people is that their ability or their willingness to predict not only the direction of a move and the magnitude, but to give you in silver a 25-cent prediction from Thursday to Monday, which is really sticking one's neck out. And I'm sure that they're the only people that I've ever heard of in the business that would go that far in a predicting way.
And in terms of being right 9 times out of 9?
Well, again, being right in anything in life 9 times out of 9 is unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. And in this business, it's incredible is a weak word. I'm trying to think of a better word. It's, I would say impossible. I'd like to see it done.
And so did we. So we talked to the broker who had acted for Delphi. He had the complete records of the transactions.
There were originally 9, from what I understand, 9 recommendations or forecasts which were made by Delphi, and out of which 7 were converted into actual trades. All these 7 were successful, as well as the 2 forecasts that were not translated into trades were successful. 2 would have been successful.
But could they have been following the market and gone with some kind of trend?
Well, I wouldn't say so, because the market in between September and December has been generally in an uptrend. Silver prices have been going up. But some of the more spectacular and successful trades were actually on the short side. That is, they sold before they bought back. So in other words, they were making money in anticipation, or they were making a prediction in anticipation of the market coming down, so going against the trend. For example, they sold the market on September 17, and then they bought back on September the 20th, profitably against the main trend. There was a transaction between the November 19 and November the 23rd, also on the short side.
Okay, Tony White, can you tell us how you did it?
No, I can't. It's a proprietary process which we've developed through our research, and we plan to keep to ourselves.
But it's done entirely psychically, is it?
Yes, it is.